to Have I Got News For You? I'm Jeremy Clarkson, I'm the shittest host they've ever had.
I don't think they should put the words on the auto cue for you.
Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Jeremy Clarkson. In the news this week, Southeastern Trains stage a publicity exercise to prove their new trains are idiot-proof. In North Korea, state television refutes allegations of famine and announces record figures for the production of candy floss. And as they rehearse for the Olympic opening ceremony, London's top dance troupe regrets agreeing to find a place for Sebco's Auntie Jean. On Ian's team tonight is an Italian property lawyer and socialite who says, I'm out nearly every night, I'm invited everywhere and I can't say no. Which kind of explains why she's here tonight. Please welcome Nancy Dell'Olio. And with Paul tonight is a stand-up comedian from Glasgow, where just being able to stand up is seen as a talent. Please welcome Kevin Bridges. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Nancy, how they look at this.
That's a Tory MP. Mm-hmm. You can tell they're all like that. That's a Labour MP.
Yeah.
That's Tom Watson. Ah, Murdoch's been arrested. He's in the slammer. Bye-bye. And they can't bear to look. It's so sad.
Yes, they are very sad.
So that's it. Big news. Murdoch's inside. And he's...
Not strictly true.
No, it isn't, is it? I was suddenly in the world of fantasy. There's been a select committee, and they delivered their report. And they said that Murdoch was willfully blind. And they said his son was willfully ignorant about the phone hacking and what was going on in News International. So it was a really bad day for the Murdochs.
Yeah, I think there are some important questions to be answered by all of Rupert Murdoch's employees.
I think there are.
Yeah, so here we go. What do you think about it, Jeremy? Well, I think as a Sun journalist, it's just a lot of stuff and nonsense and a storm in a teacup. So there we are, moving on. Paul?
I thought you were talking to me there when you said, what do you think, Jeremy? I thought you just forgot my name.
You're not the only Sun journalist. Nancy writes for The Sun.
On the Sunday, a column about fashion. Now, I can't believe myself when I accepted.
You shocked yourself, did you?
Actually, I shocked myself many times. So, yes, every day, even a shock was there when I walked in the mirror in the morning. I can surprise I'm getting beautiful and beautiful every day. So,
Do we have any English guests on this?
Now, don't start. Do you need an interpreter?
Yeah.
OK, I'll translate. Nancy was really ashamed of herself for taking money from Murdoch.
Yeah.
Is that not it? You know, there's a shortage of court interpreters in this country. I think I might apply.
Why do you think you speak the perfect English?
Do I think I speak perfect English? These things are relative. But I don't speak 5 languages, unlike you, so,
Thank you.
I'm just trying to be helpful.
Stop flirting! You did actually once say, didn't you, that any man who doesn't flirt with you must be gay?
Yes, I said.
Ian, you passed.
Can I just say I'm a...
Oh, God almighty.
No, you've ruined
Go
the
on,
moment,
go on,
Jeremy.
go
I was
on.
just going to say I'm a big
Yes.
fan of your fashion column, Nancy.
What is that?
He's a big fan of your column.
To be honest, I'm very confused by the Leveson inquiry.
Are you? There was a good bit about whether at a party at Rebecca Brooks's house there was a conversation between James Murdoch and the Prime Minister about the B Sky B takeover. But luckily, a Sun columnist called Clarkson went into print to say nothing ever happened. They didn't talk about it. Then, would you believe it, the Prime Minister said, yes, we did.
Yeah.
So someone isn't telling the truth.
No, that evening, I remember it extremely well.
You see, that makes you unlike the Murdochs, who remember nothing.
I spent the entire evening talking to James Murdoch about the environment, which he loves and which I hate. I don't know how he managed to have what he called a tiny chat about the takeover of B Sky B, because he was arguing with me constantly till 2 a.m.
Do you think he and Cameron ran away to the toilet to do it?
You do know what you just said.
You didn't follow them in there, did you?
Tom Watson made a big, powerful speech, OK?
Yeah.
And then he cocked it up by quoting Bob Dylan. What did he say?
The ladder of the law has no top or bottom, something like that.
Exactly right. No, that's bang on. No top and no bottom. Tom Watson, he says his wife left him because of the phone hacking. Is that
Yeah,
right?
well, everyone's got an excuse for it, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think she left him
I can
because...
see many other reasons why the wife left him.
He's a necklace adenoidal brummie who's a pitiful waste of blood and organs.
I suppose briefly in his favour, when his wife left him, he didn't slap a super injunction on her.
I've got your top tip on that. It wasn't a super injunction, just to be specific.
Right.
But there's a top tip I've got for everybody, really, if you're watching. An injunction is a very expensive way of making sure a very boring story reaches the maximum number of people. And the other thing, the only good thing that came out of it was the Telegraph said I'd been having an affair with Jemima Khan. And then Jemima went and tweeted, going, this is disgusting and it's revolting and I've never heard anything so. I was going, oh, steady on, love, a simple denial would be good enough. Committee was split down the middle.
Yeah.
It was.
OK?
Only on one sentence, though, Jeremy, not
Yes.
on the fact that Murdoch's generally a great bloke.
He's a great bloke.
There was one sentence which they didn't agree on, which is whether he's unfit to run a public company, which is absolutely obvious he is.
Definitely is.
But they're politicians, so they have to disagree about something.
Alex Salmond is the only world leader who's still got a close relationship with Murdoch. I think, there we go. Just thought I'd chuck that in there. I think it's Alex Salmond just trying to get his Sky upgraded so he gets the movie channel. So he can sit and watch Braveheart 3 times a day. He's trying to get He's trying to get the Scottish Sun to support independence. That's why Salmon's pretty tight, as the kids are saying, Jeremy. Pretty tight with Murdoch.
As the Kurds are saying. I've had a theory for a long time. Can Glaswegians say burglar alarm?
Oh, here we go. This is living back in primary 5 here. Yeah.
Can you, though?
Can I say what?
Burglar alarm?
Yes.
Can you?
Burglar alarm.
Can you say it?
I can say it.
Can you say it in a
I
Glaswegian
can do them
accent?
all. Curly whirly, there's been a murder.
I'm going to cheer everybody up.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to see again the footage of Neville Thurbeck?
Yes.
The incredible staring man from the News of the World. You would? Here we go.
Well, joining us now, Neville Thurbeck, the former news editor and chief reporter at the News of the World. He's now the PR manager for Children to Mind, a PTSD charity. Neville Thurbeck was arrested over allegations of his involvement in phone hacking and is bailed until next month.
It looks as if he's getting his passport photograph done.
What did Neville have to say about Rupert Murdoch? So I'll tell you.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
He said, from the position I am in, I feel like kicking Rupert Murdoch in the Thames for not giving me a payoff. Where is a man's Thames?
Between Chiswick and Putney Bridge, I think.
What other media magnate, OK, is facing an inquiry into his behaviour?
Of course, Berlusconi.
Yeah.
Is
So,
it
is
true
any other
you
question?
stood as an MEP
At the MVP, yes.
for Mr Berlusconi's
For Mr.
party?
For Mr. Berlusconi party, because
Yeah,
it was a
good.
little bit different.
Yeah, it's very different
Very
then.
different.
I don't know why I brought it up. Was the selection process very rigorous? I mean, I'm not saying he was personally involved.
No, it was absolutely not personal.
No, that would be quite
It is like sitting in on a date, this, isn't it? I'm not a host, I'm just a gooseberry. Can I just,
Okay,
Nancy, can I just ask?
yes,
You
back to
said
you.
the Italians will miss Silvio Berlusconi, and you went on to describe the former Italian PM as being charming and like John F. Kennedy.
No, I think I used John Kennedy more close to Tony Blair.
You actually said that, but then you said
Well,
JFK's
yes.
wife was bright and beautiful, while Tony's... You didn't finish that sentence then. What were you meaning?
Well, it was a little difference between Jacqueline Kennedy and Tony Blair. That's what I said.
What is the difference?
Well, different colour, different way to dress, a different
She's
style.
not black, is she?
The thing is, according to the Daily Mail, the Berlusconi trial will feature hundreds of witnesses, including George Clooney and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You know, I
They
think
say.
Leveson should use the same guest booker, because he's only had Anne Diamond in his lot. Did anyone see that Australian politician being interviewed about some political sex scandal?
Yes,
Have you seen that?
It was very good.
Watch this.
Can I ask you, do you think he should return to the Speaker's chair while these civil claims are still being played out?
I understand that the Prime Minister's addressed this in a press conference in Turkey in the last few hours. I haven't seen what she said, but let me say I support what it is that she said.
You haven't seen what she said.
But I support what my Prime Minister said, so...
Well, what's your view?
Well, my view is what the Prime Minister's view is.
Surely you must have your own view on this, Bill Shorten.
No, when you ask if I got my view on this, that's such a general question, it invites me to go to lots
Well,
of
it's a
places.
specific question as to
Well,
whether
I'll be-
Peter Slipper should return as Speaker of your Parliament while he's facing civil claims of sexual harassment.
These matters have yet to be established, and I support what our Prime Minister has said.
But you don't know what that is.
Oh, I'm sure she's right.
Australia's Nick Clegg there. This is the Select Committee's utterly partisan report into News International's dealings. Not that I'm taking sides. Committee Chairman Tom Watson accused News International of an extensive cover-up of rampant law-breaking. But for me, the big issue was Murdoch's decision to turn up to the Leveson inquiry in a Range Rover TDV8 Vogue SE, which is an excellent choice and demonstrates great wisdom. The committee found that Rupert Murdoch had exhibited willful blindness to what's going on, something Wendy Deng has to do every time his little blue pills kick in.
Well, that's the end of your column.
As the wife often says to Rupert on a Friday night.
The thing is, it is the end of my column. But anyway, Morning, Kevin. Have a look at this.
Oh, yes, this is the 1946 haircut right in the front there. That's the Heathrow. People have been coming back from holiday and queuing up. This is the people who their flats have been turned into a place where you can shoot ground-to-air missiles. It's fantastic. For the Olympic Games, of course. That's not going to make a mess of anybody's ceiling, is it? Look at that. Yes, it's the idea that we thought we were signing up for the Olympic Games, but we're signing up to live in North Korea instead. So people have got rockets coming out of their roofs. They're going to have their letterboxes propped open by specially reinforced matchsticks and Bren machine guns pointing out of the letterbox in case terrorists come and try and deliver your mail dressed as postmen. We could be cheating here. Somebody throws a discus and a javelin from a country. We just shoot them down. I mean, it's going to be so obvious on the night when it happens. We can't just keep explaining it away as an incident. You thought it through.
You're right, of course. This is the news that people would rather risk a terrorist attack than have to queue for an hour or have a missile on their water tower. So how did the head of the UK Border Force, Brian Moore, reassure people planning to come here for the Olympics?
He's bringing border staff out of retirement, is that right?
Paul Scholes is coming back.
Have you never left?
Who retires from a job at passport control? It's the least physically and mentally taxing job I can think of. You just need to look at a face, look at a photograph of the face, make sure it's the same face, and then wave them in. I don't mind queuing and border control. I watch a lot of programmes like, you know, Banged Up Abroad and Border Cops and stuff. I like to put bets on who's going to get took into the background. Well, that stoned-looking guy with ginger dreadlocks and tattoos, that's him. He's not leaving this airport till he's had a fist in his ass and an Alsatian in his face.
What he actually said was, asked what he thought about the possibility of 4-hour queues during the Olympics, he said, so be it. One passenger from Seattle believed this whole business was all part of a cunning plan. Any idea what that was?
The idea of the UK government having a cunning plan.
To stop people coming to visit the country.
He told reporters at this rate only British athletes will win gold because no one else will be able to make it over. Which is clearly ridiculous because we'll still be fourth.
There's a self-scan thing as well. You can walk up and scan your passport on yourself. It's always good watching somebody in the queue going for it. It's always an American who's got a bit of enthusiasm. Hey, man, we can do it ourselves. You're just in the queue going, nah, that'll be broke. No chance. He scans it a few times. Then they try and go back to their place in the queue. You're going, oh, well, smart ass, get to the back.
And what's the latest technology for IDing people that the Home Office has spent, I think it's £9 million on?
It's the iris thing, isn't it?
You're absolutely
That
right.
is
You know what
absolutely
IRIS
terrible.
stands for?
Identification Regional Inspector Soldier.
That's why it doesn't work at all. That
No,
doesn't
does it
work, the
not?
machine. Absolutely not. This creates chaos.
Can you just say the word chaos again?
Chaos.
Lovely. I thought you said there were cows at the airport.
Chaos is the same.
Yeah. No, chaos,
Okay,
much better.
chaos.
Self-service cows.
Right.
If you want a glass of milk in the queue, you just go up.
IRIS stands for Iris Recognition Immigration
Yeah, immigration
System.
system. Yeah.
It doesn't really, does it? They just made it up. The worst thing about Iris, because I have that eye thing, well, it does work brilliantly, because even if you've been on a very long flight and your eyes are all bloodshot and you're a bit pissed, you reel about and it goes, please move a bit to your left, a bit to your right and what have you. You do go through incredibly fast, I mean, in just minutes.
But you don't go through normal channels, do you?
No. Special service British Airways always come to pick me up from the plane, so I go smoothly through.
Special
So,
service British
Special
Airways.
service British Airways. It's one of the incredible things this
country does. I know. We all
Special
have it all
service
the
British
time. We're so glad it's on offer. This special service that takes
Actually,
you
they should
through.
increase the number of the people who work at special service because it's an incredible service done by the British Airways.
If everybody did it, it would rather lose its point. How successful do you think the Iris technology has been?
I think it's been 27% successful.
I'm afraid, Paul, you are 27% out.
Oh, am I?
The machine actually told me I showed willful blindness.
He is 27% out. If we have a look at the website, OK, registration for Iris is no longer available. All our enrolment rooms at Heathrow, Gatwick, Birmingham and Manchester airports are closed until further notice. So everyone back in the queue. In other security news, what did the residents of a block of flats in East London discover on their roof?
They're going to have ground-to-air missiles for the Olympic Games. They're going to sit there gripped by the Olympics and also gripped by every time a plane goes overhead, wondering whether that's going to be their last moment. So, yes, people had no idea that they were, you know, you could just come in and put missiles on your roof of where you lived and they're absolutely up in arms, no pun intended.
You're right. According to The Sun, the rockets will be used
According to The Sun? Mm-hmm. The rockets have big breasts and go, oh, hello, how you doing? You'll have to stop quoting this newspaper as a paper of record, Jeremy.
You'll have to stop inviting the columnists on the show. That's me. Two of us this
If
week.
it's got anything to do with me, I'd have Sooty.
According to The Sun, the rockets will be used to blast any hijacked plane out of the sky and all over Tower Hamlets.
They could do £13 worth of damage.
I couldn't quite work out why every time I saw a report about things, it was just showing you the block of flats where they're going to be.
Yeah.
So that if you were the other side, you'd think, they've got rockets. But they're there.
Well, it's difficult to disguise them, really, isn't it? Even if you put them in overnight. I suppose you could put them into giant milk bottles and pretend it's November the 5th.
Another planned location is near a protected woodland in south-east London, OK? Eltham and Plumstead MP Clive Efford said he would take the matter up with the Defence Secretary, angrily declaring, this is a protected area boasting rare plants such as the corky-fruited water droplet. That's the argument I used, actually, to keep ramblers off my land. It didn't work. We've got a clip, actually, of somebody took a YouTube thing of some Ministry of Defence man who came to install the launch pads. Have you oversee it? Have you seen this?
Are you from the MOD?
Yes, I am.
We've got... Can you explain who authorised you to turn a civilian premises into a military base? Can you explain under what legal precedent you have to do that?
Well, the man who made that footage has been evicted.
Well,
Why has he been evicted?
Well, because he's a twat.
Oh, Jeremy, if we started judging people on the fact they were twats, some of us would get no work at all, wouldn't we?
Yeah, this is the story that millions of air passengers face a summer of chaos at Heathrow. This story at least explains why you're not allowed to smile on your passport photo, so they can recognise you after 4 hours queuing at Terminal 5. According to the Daily Mail, passengers have faced delays of up to 2.5 hours. I don't know who's to blame, but whoever it is should be taken outside and shot in front of their families. And now for round 2, which is the strengthometer of news. OK, fingers on your buzzers, because here comes the first one.
Oh, this is the New England manager. Everybody expected it to be Harry Redknapp, but it wasn't. It was Roy Hodgson. Apparently, on one of the front pages of one of the national newspapers, they sort of made fun of his... They said he's got a speech impediment. I hadn't ever noticed it before. I've heard him being interviewed. I think it's fairly slight. I think he pronounces his R's as W's, etc.
Yeah. Well, this is very British.
Hang on, we're on Nancy's special subject here.
Absolutely. Now, yeah, this was quite ridiculous, this fact that you already, but this is very British. You have to complain, especially in British, in a national English coach. It's going to start to blame everything.
This is the news that, while everyone else led with the Murdoch story, the Sun's front page was, "Bring on the Euros. We'll see you in Ukraine against France."
Better than our proprietor is a cook.
The Daily Mirror said Roy Hodgson looked like an owl, OK? Here's an owl, and here's Roy Hodgson.
The only thing I know about him is that he's a cultured man in a world that, apparently, Nancy, a lot of the former England managers were not very cultured.
But you see, in general, I think both of them, they're very dull. The only difference is that Sven was lucky to have me on his side.
So Sven was better because he had you?
Well, it's very easy to say that.
To say that? No, not for the rest of us.
Are you lucky too tonight? Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm well aware of that.
According to the Mirror, your man Roy is an intellectual. He can speak 8 languages, which makes him England's cleverest ever manager. Poor Sven.
But intelligence is not really quite about how many languages you speak.
Exactly.
Anyway.
How many languages do you speak, Nancy?
5.
Which ones?
Try to speak Italian, try to speak English, Spanish, Portuguese.
They're all the same.
It's all the same.
Are you Rosetta Stone, Nancy? Are you the face behind that voice?
How's the body language world reacted to Roy's appointment?
Is there a body language?
Well, apparently there's even an expert called Judy James who told the Daily Star, "I've never seen a less likely-looking leader in terms of body language."
Wow.
She's obviously never seen Gordon Brown,
Yeah, no.
has she? This is the appointment of Roy Hodgson as England manager. According to the Mirror, Roy speaks Norwegian, Italian, Swedish, Finnish, German, Danish and French, which will be handy at the Euros as he'll be able to congratulate all the managers who beat him. Over the years, England managers have experienced a lot of ups and downs. Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy, I should have rephrased that. Fingers on your buzzers, time for the next one. OK, ready? What's this all about?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Do you not know this either? Ian.
OK, good.
We don't know.
Is it a before and after picture of a guy that lost no weight?
No.
It's two candidates, local candidates for councillor, mayor.
Oh, they've both got the same
Councillor.
name.
But you know
Tom
things.
Rowley. Tom Rowley.
You're very nearly right. This is the Conservatives in Sandwell tried to unseat a Labour councillor called Derek Rowley by fielding a look-alike called Derek Rowley. And
And do
anyway,
we know the result yet?
I think you'll find that Mr Rowley did win.
how has the Tory Derek Rowley defended himself from these accusations?
Has he got wildly drunk and started lashing out with a machete?
Well, he hasn't. According to the Daily Mail, when asked about his candidacy, the Conservative Derek Rowley remained tight-lipped. OK, let's move away from the Rowleys.
Yeah.
What did David Cameron say he wanted to give the country?
Boris. No, he's desperate for Boris to win as mayor.
He doesn't just want him to be Mayor of London.
He wants him to be mayor of the moon.
No, talking about elected mayors, he said, I'm giving the country a chance to have many more Borises. I want a Boris in Birmingham, I want a Boris in Leeds, I want a Boris in Bradford. They don't all have to be members of the Johnson family, although Boris has been making every effort to make sure they are. Who here would like to see Boris answering a question fully and frankly? So here we go.
Why is your party struggling nationally, do you think?
Who's got a cup of coffee? Ben?
Why are they...
Got that coffee?
Why are they struggling?
Hang on a second. Just give me 10 seconds.
The Mail had a good picture this week. They said that Boris looked like an alpaca.
Of this, I must ask one question. Are Boris's activities restricted to the human species?
This is Derek Rowley, not to be confused with Derek Rowley. One local voter, Ethel Hardy, aged 70, told the Mirror, it's easy for us old people to get flustered. Two people with the same name will be confusing. Adding, it's easy for us old people to get flustered. Two people with the same name will be confusing.
That's how Ed Miliband got the job.
Fingers on the buzzers again. Here's the next one.
It's been sold yesterday, world record, 108 millions. Within every David Picasso, everything. The Scream, famous Scream by Edward Munch.
Nearly right. 74 million, but yeah, you're
74,
absolutely,
no,
stories at
100.
70.
Could you buy Sky? Last night was $108 million.
Yeah, but here in England...
OK. I reported that the news was in millions dollars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, but it's pounds.
OK, it's pounds. Usually it's pounds, fine. But
Dollars
the
is all
news
right for
was
the
now...
new world.
It's been sold in dollars.
You're quite right.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, but I've translated it so that everybody understands what we're on about.
Yeah, but we know.
Because they wouldn't have a clue about dollars.
No!
I mean, there's only 4 around, and this one's in pastel. It's not the actual picture. I want to be there where someone says, actually, there are 4 of them, and he goes, oh.
What else could you buy for 74 million quid, I was wondering?
Metropolitan Police.
74 million, you could just keep that in your bank and just go to the ATM, press display balance a day, you may withdraw 300 quid. I'd like to see that.
You have to do something with money. Money is not just to keep it in a bank.
It was just a wee joke there, Nancy. It's just we'll meet up after, we'll discuss some ISAs and long-term savings bonds.
This is the £74 million sale, of the Scream. Or, as Norwegians call it, Mr. Happy. Time now for the odd one out round. Ian and Nancy, your 4 are Jeremy Hunt, Victor Sylvester, Nancy Dell'Olio, and Sarah the Walrus.
I think this is to do with dancing. Because the one fact that's come out in favour of the Culture Secretary is that he does the lambada. You've danced on Strictly. Sarah the Walrus obviously has learnt to dance.
So it's to do with a specific type of dancing.
Tango. Victor Sylvester thought the tango was sinful and would never play it. The orchestra would never play it.
Well, yes, but who's the odd one out? We do need to try...
Victor Sylvester. The Walrus. Nancy.
Jeremy! Jeremy's the long one out.
Diving in a slightly cheaty way, I thought.
Yeah.
You are right, it is Jeremy. They've all received compliments for their tango, except Jeremy Hunt, who was complimented by the Education Secretary on his lambada. Did you know he's got a sprung dance floor in his house?
That's great.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I read about it, yeah.
No,
I reckon
that's
it's
why
bodies
it's a
underneath.
culture.
And he murdered the people to the tune of I Am the Walrus.
Yeah.
What did Gove say about Jeremy Twinkletoes, then, on Radio 4?
Fantastic dancer, he said, you know, wonderful, he can float across the surface.
Pretty much. He said to the listeners, if you ever want anyone to liven up your party by cutting the rug with dash and distinction, then Jeremy is the man to invite. Do we think he's helped? Pause here, because it seems to me saying, I know you've got all this trouble, obviously, over the B-Sky B deal, but at least you're a good dancer. It's like saying, you know, your penis isn't very long, but at least it's thin. Victor Sylvester was obviously the modern godfather of the tango. Does anybody know what Victor Sylvester outlawed?
Was it the cha-cha-cha he didn't like?
It was actually something called the shimmy.
The shimmy?
It's a sort of belly dance, is what it is, and he didn't
okay.
like it. Now, Nancy, is it true that you received a compliment from Prince Harry about your dancing, or was that just PR bollocks?
Part true, part no.
Did Harry come across a nightclub and say, I really...
well, didn't say exactly that, but he did, yes.
He came up to you in a nightclub.
Well, we happened to be in the same nightclub, yes.
Yeah, it happens all the time to people.
No, not to people, that happened to me, yes.
Yeah.
You know that we were in Jamaica together, too.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
No, I didn't read that story.
He's getting jealous, isn't he? Look. Now, Sarah the Walrus, OK? She gets many a compliment when she dances on stage. Let's see her in action. Unbelievable.
Sensational.
Fair play to that guy. I would dance for a lot worse.
They've all received compliments for their tango, except Jeremy Hunt, who was complimented by the Education Secretary on his lambada. After Nancy and Anton Lubeck were voted off Strictly Come Dancing, there were a few tears. As Anton said, you are a superstar. You are absolutely lovely. I have had the most lovely time. He then turned away from the mirror and gave Nancy a hug. Right, Paul and Kevin, here's yours. Stephen Hester, the M25, the UK-Mexican border, and Jimmy Savile.
Steve, I don't know who Stephen Hester is. That would help, wouldn't it, if I knew?
He runs the Royal Bank of Scotland.
He's
does he?
CEO, isn't he? That's the guy I speak to. I only deal with him.
Yeah.
Jimmy Savile, he's pretty dead, isn't he?
Yes, Stephen Hester's the only one that's actually physically alive, because the Mexican-American border is an inanimate object. The M25, although technically cars, they aren't actually alive. Jimmy Savile is now pushing up the daisy, so Stephen Hester's the only one still alive because he's breathing in oxygen, which is reproducing in his blood and is keeping him going.
You are, of course, absolutely right.
Absolutely right, yeah.
And yet wrong.
OK.
Is it about...
Stephen Hester opened up his house, didn't he, to the public? This week.
And now we shuffle closer toward the answer.
I read it in your paper. I gave him a tour of his garden and they made a few hilarious jokes.
The Chipping
about,
Norton advertiser?
About hedge funds.
Well, that covering it.
Funny.
He's mentioned the dreaded Chipping Norton word.
What's the matter with Chipping Norton?
Well, I thought you'd be embarrassed about.
I've lived there for 20 years. It's superb. It has a fantastic Sainsbury's. No, you're not. It's kind of... No, I'm going to have to say, because I really don't think you're going to get there.
No.
They're all the subject of popular tours, OK? Apart from Stephen Hester, whose house tour at the weekend wasn't very popular. RBS so-called fat cat Hester invited members of the public to tour around his country house. According to the Mirror, anti-capitalist protesters had promised to take advantage of the open days with some fun and games, but they were put off by the rain. So if anyone had bothered to turn up, what do you think they'd have seen?
He's got avenues of trees.
That's quite boring.
He's got a car that goes really fast.
I see. Nothing wrong with that. This is a good one. You'll like this, I think. A £15 coach trip around the iconic M25 offered by a Brighton bus company was so popular it's sold out. But don't worry, because new dates are being added. What do you think the tour entails?
Yeah, going round once and then ended up where you started from.
Yep, but come on.
You get to put your head out the window and your tongue out like a dog.
It's a coach tour. Can you do that in a coach? I'm not sure the window's open. I'm not familiar with buses, obviously. Because not only is there a non-stop commentary which points out all the junctions and intersections along the route, but a spokesman for the bus company told Sky News, "We're keeping it as a surprise whether we'll travel clockwise or anti-clockwise." Like the US-Mexican border, you can now take a make-believe trip illegally crossing the Rio Grande from Mexico into the United States. According to the New York Times, you're escorted by a guide called Poncho on a nighttime hike 700 miles away from the actual border, on which tourists are chased in the dark, shot at by fake police, and have to slip under barbed wire fences in an attempt to cross the border. So while we're on the subject of outdoor activities, where will people now be able to walk in the Isle of Man?
Near your house.
Not near it, right through the kitchen, the bastards. Yeah, they're all the subject of popular tours, apart from Stephen Hester, whose house tour at the weekend failed to attract many visitors. Stephen Hester's garden has a swimming pool, 2 tennis courts and 2 horse paddocks. And, of course, there's a large ha-ha every time his paycheck arrives. According to BBC News, the tour taking you on a full circuit of the M25 costs £15, which works out at a very reasonable 2p an hour. You can now take a guided tour through the life of Jimmy Savile in his home city of Leeds. The tour leaflet includes photos of important locations in Sir Jimmy Savile's life, comparing how they look today and how they looked in the past, with a sequence of captions that simply goes, now then, now then, now then. Time now for the Missing Words Round, which this week features as its guest publication Caravan Times. The editor has some interesting views which he can see but you can't, as you're stuck behind him. And we start with Richard Hammond's what was his most successful ever?
Is it Attempt to be Born?
Did he drive a caravan? Caravan drive?
It's Caravanning Holiday to Cornwall.
Oh.
Richard Hammond likes camping so much he's now bought a Volkswagen camper van and told Caravan Times, "I shall spend the entire summer in it." That's only because he couldn't reach the door handle to get out. Next, drunk. I blame what?
The M25 tour.
Yeah.
Is it alcohol?
Pudding.
No.
Dessert.
Well,
Biscuits.
you're nearer, actually.
Yes.
But you need to come one course further back.
Duck in stout.
Steak and ale
Where's
pie.
me duck in stout?
He's there.
Steak and
They're
ale
just
pie.
close, but bang on. Steak and ale pie.
Hey, well done.
Oh.
That's very good. Yeah. This is a drink driver who... How many words did Sven actually get out when you were going out with him? This is a drink driver who blamed his drunkenness on a pie. The defendant said, "I am truly sorry. It will affect me for the rest of my life." I once had a pie like that. Next, Prince Charles prefers what to what?
William to Harry.
What it is wearing extra clothes to turning up the thermostat. Next, a man walks into a bar. What?
A man walks into a bar and stars in a brand new joke.
A man walks into a bar
opens
with a duck on his head. It's a Hampshire man has helped fill up the newspapers by walking around with his pet duck Boris balanced on his head.
He's just following David Cameron's advice. Everybody needs a Boris.
Yeah.
Just turn it up.
And finally, Blair, I'm ready for what?
Come
Nancy.
back. Ooh.
What's he ready for?
Come back. He wants to come back.
Come back.
Come
Yes,
back.
this is
As
absolutely
what?
right. He is ready for a comeback.
Oh, no.
Yeah, former Prime Minister Tony Blair is to turn his attention back to British politics. Blair is still working as a Middle East peace envoy, which is a bit like Nancy being put in charge of the campaign for plain English. So, the final scores are Ian and Nancy, you have 7, Paul and Kevin, you have 9. On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Nancy Dell'Olio, Paul Merton and Kevin Bridges. And I leave you with news that, after it's revealed that anti-aircraft missiles are being installed in advance of the Olympics, people living near the dressage venue are assured that any military presence will be very low-key. Police reveal a photograph of a man they'd like to question after Roy Hodgson has dog excrement posted through his letterbox. And after drowning his sorrows on election night, Ken Livingstone wakes up in unfamiliar surroundings. Which, of course, gives us a problem because the results of the election will probably be known before tomorrow night's programme is aired, and so...
Absolutely.
And after his shock victory, London's new mayor wakes up in unfamiliar surroundings. Good night.
Sean Locke's talking female role models and Madonna's dance moves next on BBC One with Live at the Apollo.
Another
Why don't you
artist.
two just get a hotel room?
Yes, it's just...
Oops.